Might wonder what unifies the LOC. Well, there's going to be no acting this year, just talking. Didn't really have time to prepare a proper video that I thought was worthy of commission intro. So this is just where I will talk about our league. We are global number one. We got five countries represented in this league. Of course, myself as Canadian, many other Canadians, lots of Americans, and we have people from England, we have people from Serbia, and we have people from Germany. And honestly, I would love to see those numbers get up even more. So for some of you people overseas or even some of our North American friends, if you know some people maybe in South America, maybe more in Europe, I'm always open to getting some new referrals in, especially international referrals. Next, well, what keeps us unified? Well, how about the weekly recaps, everybody? For anyone that was around last year, the weekly recaps were added, and what a difference it made, right? I mean, to wake up every morning after football week is over and to go over the recap of every single league in the format of what happened, it really does unify the tiers. And I do think it unifies also the dynasties. So of course, we added the new dynasty this year, so we are now five leagues in the LOC format. And this year, once again, those weekly recaps will be featured, adding the new dynasty as well. Last but not least, we are the LOC family. It was funny. This league was once criticized for being a family league. It is a family league. We got wives in here. We got brothers in here. We might even have some sisters in here. Well, we got a sister-in-law. So yeah, we are family. And honestly, for the teams that have been around a long time, I just want to say thank you. A lot of you have stuck up for me in a lot of scenarios where, I it felt like, is this really worth going on? And lots of shout outs to people like Dushan, Danny, Ryan. I could think of many more, but those are a few that I just think about that were there in certain situations when I really needed another voice, and you were there. So I just want to say thank you to this LOC family for sticking by my side. And really, it's you that makes this the best fantasy league out there. Thank you.
A few moments later.
Hey everyone, guess is back. It's Kamish back here with another draft preview, and this time we're going to feature third year owner in the tier one, Hayden and Ramrods. A guy that has yet to make the playoffs in tier one and has done a good job surviving though. In the years where it looked like it was hard to survive. In fact, you made one trade in your first year that made it so I dropped, and thank God I won tier two to stay in the league. So, anyways, I'm just gonna share my screen and we'll get right into it, Hayden. I apologize if I yawn throughout your preview. I am exhausted, just like I'm sure most of you are actually. And for most of the people that are in this league from BC, we know that we are entering smoke season. So I look out my window and all I can see is gray. So welcome to BC. And there goes the summer, I guess. Anyways, here we go. Ramrods and Hayden. Here we go. All right, so looking at the keepers, and you put me on my toes here making the trade, but we'll get into that in a moment. You already made the trade for Bucky Irvin last year to try to, I guess you could say, improve at running back. The only problem with that, of course, is Tampa Bay brought in Kenny Gainwell, and it's funny, right? Because Kenny Gainwell was nothing but an RB3 in Philly. That was even before Saquon was there, I think. And then he goes to Pittsburgh and lights it up. And apparently he's been lighting it up in the offseason program while Bucky Irvin's hurt. And that doesn't help your cause. So, that's something that you're obviously going to have to pay attention to. So, do I think Bucky's better than Aaron Jones? Yes, right? Like Aaron Jones is pretty much done. And I think at one time we joked about your roster being the old man squad. And you got younger with Bucky Irvin. So that is a positive. That being said, Terry McLaurin, I think he's pushing 31. Again, the offseason reports, though, have been really good on Terry McLaurin. He's looked like the clear cut WR1, is what most people are saying. And that's obviously great news for you. But it still doesn't put you in a great position in terms of getting youth on the roster. And I think for you, it's one of those scenarios where the first round, maybe the first couple rounds, maybe the first 3 rounds, there's some keepers to be had, maybe at rookie. This is turning out to probably be a really ugly draft in terms of that. So maybe going McLaurin is the right move. I like the trade. I mean, you didn't give up much to get Terry McLaurin, and I do think he was a better option than Aaron Jones. Devontae Adams is definitely we're getting up there in years. I think he's 33 and a bit. The thing is, the Rams are going to crush it this year, right? Stafford was the MVP last year. And Devontae Adams obviously got a lot of red zone touchdowns, I believe. And I expect the same to happen this year, right? And who's to say that Puka doesn't end up in rehab again, and Devontae Adams gets the bulk of the targets, and that is a scenario that I think could happen, right? And maybe Puka comes back late in the year to get the Rams the title. I think it's almost a guarantee if Aaron Donald comes back as well that there's no sense even watching the season because the Rams will win the Super Bowl. I personally don't watch the playoffs. I haven't watched the playoffs for 2 years, and everybody knows my opinions on why. But fantasy, I do watch the red zone because obviously this is exciting to watch our teams week over week battle. But I think Devontae Adams will get his numbers this year too. You're going double tight end, which I don't think is necessarily a bad strategy. It just means, I mean, you don't have to pick a tight end when everybody maybe in round 2, 3, and you got a pick or so. People are picking tight ends there, and then you might be able to pick your litter at running back. Maybe there'll be a guy like Emmett Johnson still around, or a Mike Washington. You could take a flyer at running back there, or maybe even a guy like Chris Rodriguez, or maybe you just start picking some of the better wide receivers while people are picking tight ends because you got your tight ends. Sam Laporta, Dallas Goddard. It sounds like Dallas Goddard is by far the clear cut TE1 according to the offseason reports I've been reading. Eli Stowers, the tight end they drafted, apparently has looked pretty mediocre. A lot of hype for that guy coming out of the draft, but in the offseason program, he looked pretty mediocre. I believe he was nursing a bit of an injury, but that's a positive for you for Goddard to put up big numbers this year. But once again, Goddard's getting old. Got Laporta and Irvin that are fairly young, but the rest of your roster is getting pretty old. So that's something to pay attention to. Jamie Sherwood at linebacker for the New York Jets. Let's face it, with Gino there and the offseason reports that he might have beat up his girlfriend, that's probably going to lead to a lot of interceptions for Gino, which will probably mean that Jamie and Sherwood will get a lot of tackles for you. So again, time will tell. I don't think your keepers are that bad. I think you've done a good job at improving your keepers over time. I believe it might have been as early as last year. You had Cooper Cup as a keeper. So I think you've done a good job trying to retool the roster and stay in tier one while doing so. Your recap from last year, 12th place finish, not as good as you finished the year prior. Year prior, you went 7-7. Last year, you went 5-9, putting your career record at 12-16. You sold capital to survive, which, again, if you're in that position, you got to. The year you took me down when you made that trade and I dropped, I sold my capital too early, or I sold my assets too early, I should say. And I didn't sell capital to survive. And you did. You did a good job there. But you did also a good job of reacquiring picks this year and or last year, which translates into your draft picks here. Yeah, you did a good job of finding a way to get some picks back. You could see here at first in the first round, anyways, you were able to get a first round pick at least. It is going to be a late first, 18th overall. When we look at your overall draft pick scenario here in the first 10 rounds, you only got 7 picks, which isn't ideal. But I do like the fact that 3 of them are in the first 3 rounds. You got 44 and 59 in round 3. No pick in 5, no pick in 2, obviously, no pick in 8, no pick in 10. And there's a pretty big gap there in terms of getting some draft picks. So, when I look at a draft pick scenario like this, what it puts you in a position to do is again, I think you have to pick players to survive again, right? So, at pick 18, could you take a chance on, say, oh, I don't know, like an Antonio Williams or Zachariah Branch or someone like that? Maybe, but then you're really counting on those rookies to produce. And what if they don't, right? So, it might put you in a position then to look at more of a veteran wide receiver. And, again, if that veteran wide receiver wasn't kept this past year, then, well, really likely, they're probably not keeper quality, right? So that's something to think about. Go fast forwarding to 11 to 20. Again, not a great scenario here. You got 6 picks in the mid rounds, no pick in 11, no pick 15, 17, 18. So, again, what does this mean? Well, similar, you're not quite, obviously not nearly as bad as Deuce Bombers draft pick scenario, who we previewed yesterday. But, it does put you in a position here where likely you're going to be picking the IDPs in the back half, because when we look at where your picks are, I mean, you got 8 picks in the final 3 rounds, right? So, when you think about 8 picks in the final 3 rounds, I mean, what is that? I don't know what that is as a percentage. I could do the math here now, but um, that's a lot of picks to have in the final 3 rounds, and we get 29 picks, so that's 27.6% of your picks in those final 3 rounds. I mean, you're my advice would be you got to get the IDPs maybe there. I mean, yeah, your IDP roster is not going to look so great. But I think the best advice I could give you, Hayden, is you have to find a way to survive without giving up the capital this year. If you can do that, I think you can possibly. You have to watch what the other teams are doing, obviously. But if you're able to not trade any of your capital this year and survive, that's going to put you in a position to fully reset this roster, because it'll give you the ability to hopefully maybe make consolation, and maybe be in a position where you're winning consolation like you did 2 years ago, I believe. And you gave my brother number one, which was really, sad to see, to be honest. But you're going to run your roster the way you do. I know everyone every year wants to compete. Guys like Chris and No More is like that. He doesn't care. He's going to try to buy every year to win, and I can respect that. But it also puts you in a scenario where things get tough the next year. There's no doubt about that. Your first pick, I think you're going to go best available or quarterback. The reason why I'm thinking maybe quarterback is because you don't pick till round 3. And for the teams that need quarterbacks, they may very well have picked most of the good ones by then. Even teams with lots of picks are picking their backup sometimes in that scenario. And you just don't want to be left with a guy like I don't know, Penix or Tua as your starter. Maybe Tua has some sort of resurgence. I doubt it though. Or Jacoby Brissett is your starter, right? You just don't want to be in that position. According to Sleeper ADP, best available for you would be Purdy or Goff at quarterback, Pittman or Shakir. It seems like Shakir gets picked at 18th overall every year, and Brian Robinson, and oddly enough, Aaron Jones. Terry McLaurin was not going to be there at 18. So this is exactly why I liked the trade you did make. And again, you didn't give up a lot. I mean, you've traded the mid round, sure. But to get a guy of Terry McLaurin's quality, let's face it, he's probably got 3 years left. So you do have a keeper there for 3 years, which I think for you was the right move. All right, the barometer chart here. Well, bottom 4. I see this happening if all your old guys play part-time or get hurt, right? So Adams, McLaurin, again, they're getting up there in years. And that's when the injuries start to develop, right? So if that happens, it could put you in a tough position. Dallas Goddard seems to be hurt every year. So that again would put you in a tough position. I see you as being as a consolation contender if you have you do have a mediocre draft scenario, obviously, and you have a weak draft, right? If that happens, definitely see you at best doing consolation. Um, excuse me. I see you being a playoff team. Well, it'd be the first time in your history if you made it, which would be great. If Bucky can fend off Gainwell and Adams looks like Packers Adams, or just gets all those touchdowns from Stafford, and I think they are going to get a lot of touchdowns. I think Kyron, Blake, Devontae, Puka are going to get their touchdowns, right? So I think that if that happens, I could definitely see him making the playoffs. Division title, I think the biggest competitors for the crown right now in the division appear to be 12th man. He does have all that running back strength. The only thing about 12th man, he does have picks too. The only thing about 12th man is he just doesn't have any good wide receivers. And then champion, well, again, anybody can be champion. You make some great trades, you turn into a great buyer. McLaurin goes off with Daniels. Puka gets hurt. Maybe he ends up in rehab. Devontae Adams becomes the one, and then very well, you never know, you could be champion. Anyways, Hayden, I hope you're really enjoying the LFC. Again, you've been there to witness some BS for me as commish. And the thing I like about you, man, is you're a commish yourself, so you know how hard it can be. And some of these players that play giving commissions a hard times when they're not commissions, and we know how much time we put in. It's straight up bullshit, man. And I can understand that they're a commish, maybe they question a few things or whatever, but the whining and everything else, sometimes just gets right sickening. And you've been there to see some of it in tier two. When I made the trade, I traded Stafford for Deshaun Watson, and it was denied. So, anyways, just funny shit that's happened in the league. But I really do hope that you do survive. And eventually you are able to reset this roster, really make it what it can be. And I think you did the right things in the off season and during the season to get some of that capital back. So I hope you have an excellent year, Hayden, and I wish you nothing but the best of success for tier one this year. Bye for now.